Okay, welcome back. And in this video, we're going to be talking about how to log into the V11 API. So it's slightly different to how the Enterprise Manager API works. So I'm going to go back to the documentation, always good to go there. And we're going to click on this one, and I've already got that open. And when you get to the main page, we're going to go to Authorization and Security and request authorization. And you can see here we have a slightly different endpoint than we did with the Enterprise Manager API, which is a /API/OAuth2/token. Again, making a post request to this endpoint. And the body has to have the following parameters specified, either password or authorization code. So we're going to use the password variety in this case. And I'm going to go down a little bit, and with the parse type, we have the post request, like I said, and send it to that token endpoint with the grant type specified to value. But it also needs to have the actual password also passed. So here we go. So that's the endpoint that we need to send it to. Obviously, changing the URL to your URL using a slightly different port as well. So we're going to use 9419. We need to include this request header API version and then 1.0-rev1, and the request body has to be grant type password username password and then password equals password 1. So we actually have to say grant type and that and that. Okay, body's a little bit different because essentially each of those are going to be a part of the body when you send it, and that is a little easier to do than other things. So we are going to actually just double check. I think there's anything else we need to include in the header for the request position code. Nope. Okay, right. So I've already set up a few things prior to this because we did go through a lot of detail in the last video about what this is, how this works. I'm going to skip ahead and we're going to jump straight into how we're going to log in. So we're going to first go into, we're going to add all those imports. So request URL 3 and disable the warnings. I've pre-created my URL and that's got the new port number and the authorization code address. I'm also going to create a new header here. So you can see here we have accept application JSON X as API type is equal to version 1. Content type is application X www.form-url encoded. Now, this is not said necessarily in the documentation, but you do need to include this header or it just won't work. And I could prove it, but I don't really want to. Just double check that's in the doc somewhere. Can't find it, but either way, trust me, you need it. Okay, so we are going to just add that as a header. So we now have got the headers set, and now the actual header that we're going to send the actual token is going to be different. So I'm going to get that set up. So when I say once we've got the header back, the result from this header, you need to have another header which we can add the token to, because we don't need this bit at the end of the request that we're going to send regularly. So I'm going to create another one called token header. And that's just got application JSON and that part added, just not got the content type piece there. Right. Now, the good thing about this is, data. Let me just double check something. Okay, so now we need to create the data object. So this is what comes in the body of the request to use into the API. So I'm going to call this body data equals, and this is going to be an object. So you open curly braces, and we're going to tap in grant type, content type, and we put their password. Then, oops. Now we need to actually get the password, username and password here. So I'm going to do username equals input equal, then I'm going to put username And like we did previously, we're going to use get pass. So for import get pass, and we're going to underneath there, going to get password equals get pass dot get pass and password, like so. And underneath here, we're going to go back into this object, and we're going to go username equals username. Oh, no, that keeps on coming up. And password is password. Don't want password. Great. So that should, if I now hit Shift Enter, ask me for my my username and my password. Okay. Now we are actually going to make the request to get the token. So this is slightly easier than we had before because we don't have to add it to the headers and things. So requests dot post like we did before, and we can go post, and this time we can go to the up to the top, and we need the URL again. So then this time we're going to put data equals data, body data, headers equals headers. These are the ones we made before, and then we put verify equals false. Okay, and underneath we're going to res.status code. In luck, we get the 200. Hallelujah. So now if we go, so instead, unlike with the Enterprise Manager API, we do actually get the data back as part of the body. So you can see here, we go res.json, we get the access token. So unlike with the Enterprise Manager, where we got it back as part of the header, we got this time we get it back as part of the body. And we need to again add this token when we are going to make a request, but we have to add it to the header, ironically. So we get it back as part of the body, but then we have to add it back to the head as a header. And we also need to add this bit here. It says bearer as well, which is a bit of a pain thing. So it's into an actual variable. So we're going to go res.json. Then we go to token equals data.get access token. Okay, that's okay. So we go to token again, and we can see that. Right, bear with me a second. Okay, so now we need to add it to part of the header. So we've got the token header we had before, and we're going to add to that auth. Let's put that there. Authorization equals. We're going to concatenate a string bearer space plus token. There we go. And we can go down here to token header. And you can see that we now have the authorization is a bearer and the authorization and the bearer token underneath. Okay, so let's get rid of that. Now we are, like previously, we're ready to actually get some data. So let's go back to the API, and it's a bit different with the V11 API that we actually have to go to this click this link here. This takes us to a new page, which lists all the requests we can do. So let's go down to jobs, get all jobs, and you can see that's API v1/jobs. So I'm going to copy that. A bit like we did last time, we're going to go to job URL underscore URL equals https://192.168.4.44. I'm just going to put that in there a second. Okay, remind myself of the ports. There we go, 9419. Do that there. Okay, so that's my URL. And similar to we did last time, I'm going to do res.job because I like naming the response, the thing that I'm getting back from the API. And we are going to do requests dot get, and URL this time is job URL. And we go headers equals, I'm going to call this token header, as we did before, verify equals false. And I'm going to do res.data.status code, and we get 200 back, so it worked. Hallelujah. And now we're going to res, then you go to data, job data equals res job dot JSON, and then we go to job data, and there we go. I have got back my object. And if we do a little bit of analysis, see what we got in here. So keys. So the first one is data, so you can go into data. So that I've noticed that with the V11 API, most things have got a initial object, and then we have tend to have an array. So if I just go len, but len is length, so I can then see how long this array is. So I've got 7 points in this array. Okay, so go back a step. Oh, need to go put job back in. Put the first one out. So we can see that I've got some information about this now. So you can see already that is like the size, and actually the size, that's the size of the virtual machine, not the backup size. Now that's a different endpoint to get that information. But you can see here we have a lot of information in this endpoint. If we go back to the V11 documentation, it's actually a bit different to the enterprise manager, that all the objects actually come back as JSON strings, JSON objects. So it's and we can break down what's in each of the each tree within the object, so we can see what we're going to get back here. But yeah, so I'm going to just give you a little bit of a tip on what we can do here. Now, first of all, I still like to figure out where I need to get to. So I'm going to do keys. So go there. All right. So we have virtual machines. Okay. So I think it's under virtual machines. Okay. Oh, done it again. That's not going to work. Do that again. Okay. Virtual machines. So, okay. I get spelled right. There we go. All right. So we have now got the virtual machines. And I think in order to get to size here, so that's where I'm going to try and get for. No, that's what we're going to give the name. So I think we still need to go in one more object. So we have to go to includes. Here we go. And now we're in an array. So we need to go to 0. That gets us back into an object again. And then we can go to the name. So that's the name. Okay. And that didn't work for some reason. Why is that? That's because that's in another object, inventory object, and then we have to go into name there. So this is what I like to do, is to give myself a bit of a path to whatever I'm looking for. So I'm going to go job names, equals, and I'm going to create a empty array, and then we're going to do a for loop. So for I in job data, and we're going to go to data because that's where that array starts, because we can't loop through an object, but we can loop through an array. So we can loop through that point there. So if we go up to that point, oops, we can loop there. So we do that. We put a colon there, and then we can now do a second loop. So we go, we have to give it a different letter to index from, and you can call this anything you like. So you call it job or whatever you want. But I like using single letters in I, and we're going to copy this bit there. Okay. And now that's going to take us up to this point. So we're now looping at this point through these names. So I'm going to grab that, and I'm going to do data. I use word data for this. So I need to use J like that. So that's going to put all the names, or that what's the word, loop for that data into there. Okay, and now I can go to job names dot append data. So what that's going to do is going to loop through this, then loop through that, and then all the names are going to get put into this here. So if I do that, now I can go job names, and you can see all the job names. Anyway, I'm going to go into more detail on specifics of loops and objects and things, but I thought it'd be a bit of fun just to quickly show you how you can potentially grab a bit of useful information out using loops. And in the next video, we are going to go through how to do this the easy way.